Hello and welcome to Campaign Comrades, your favorite tomb raiding podcast. We are here talking about the mix of the different Tomb Raider adaptation movies. Apparently there was like a 1998 short film and
It
I
was
think
called Indiana Jones.
like a European TV show or something that we want to talk about that, but we're just talking about the movies. And we didn't like set an agenda for today. We didn't like assign that, oh, you got to watch this movie. We just like said, let's just do the Tomb Raider movies. So let's just like start with which ones you all watched for, or if any, if rewatching for today. I'll start with I watched all three. I rewatched all three. I watched I rewatched the two Angelina Jolie, and then I've watched for the first time the 2018 reboot. But what
You're
about
true
the rest
Tomb
of you?
Raider.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like $2 to rent on Amazon, so it's like, yeah, why not? I've got the time. It was like it kind of worked perfectly. Like I remembered that we were doing this episode 3 days before recording, so it's like I'll do one each night, and it's worked out well.
Bingo.
Because quickly, the one thing with the Angelina Jolie ones, they are again like our perfect, tight 90-minute movies. So it was not
even true. The second one is exactly 2 hours long, and the first one's an hour and 50 minutes.
That's incorrect. I don't know what versions you're watching. The first one was an hour and 30. If it's an hour and 40, it's listed as like an hour 39. But that's
it's listed as an hour 40.
I checked when the credits started, and it was exactly at 90 minutes. And then
the second is 2 hours.
The second one is a little bit longer, but it's like maybe
58.
And it's like, yeah, it's maybe like an hour 40, hour 45 before credits roll. It is longer.
Still a tight, close to 90-minute movie, something that we don't see very often today.
The reboot
that's usually just reserved for children.
The
children and like rom-coms sometimes.
The reboot one is like right around 2 hours, and I do not have kind things to say about the reboot.
The runtime on the 03 and the reboot are both an hour 58.
Yeah, they're both 118 minutes. The newest one feels way longer.
Because you're not getting Angelina Jolie.
Right, so she was awful in that movie.
Oh my god,
she was a cardboard cutout.
Yeah, but she's still Angelina Jolie. I just picture her.
She was just cashing a check.
Gone in 60 seconds.
Just no respect at all.
The only thing I respect about those movies was that they had some practical sets, and that was it. That was the only thing I enjoyed about those.
They were
still 2001, 2003. They're still doing that stuff.
What about you? What about the other ones? What about you guys? Which ones did you watch in preparation for today?
I rewatched the first one. The
best one, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't remember if I've ever seen the second one. I've definitely never seen 2018. I probably have seen the
You've probably like seen bits of the sequel one, like on FX, just on TV.
No, for sure. And I've definitely seen the first one a couple times like that. But yeah, never. I'll pass on the 2018 one.
You're good with that. You're totally fine with that. I was just, again, for me, it was just like I had the time. It was $3 to rent it. Let's do it.
Someone had to do it.
I would not say that anybody should go out and look for this movie.
I didn't realize that Walter Goggins was in the 2018 one.
Walter, did you just call him Walter?
Walter, sorry, Walton. It's early. We're recording early today. Walton Goggins.
Walter.
The Walton Goggins.
Even he couldn't rescue it. Say he was truly, cashing a paycheck.
Oh, for sure. Good for him.
100%.
Save your good acting for shows like Gemstones and things like that.
Yeah, he had his mind in another script throughout this whole time.
I rewatched the original Angelina Jolie too. I watched both of those rewatched because I'd seen the 2018 one. I watched it sometime over the pandemic. I don't know exactly when, but It was in the dregs, and it was not worthy of a rewatch at all.
In this series that we do of watching these adaptations, one truth has come out is that Andrew loves to punish himself unnecessarily, and that like you chose to watch these of your own volition. You didn't watch that because you were like basically quote unquote required to.
No.
You did the same thing with the Uncharted
The
movie.
head.
Yeah, I'm a pain pig.
Yeah, geez.
Hey, I will say I watched the Uncharted before we were supposed to watch it because I was, I had some hopes, and obviously watch our episode on that to hear.
I like to know what the people are talking about.
Our man on the ground.
Yeah, a regular man of the people. And then Matt, did you just rewatch some of the originals?
No, I watched all three.
You did?
I didn't spend a single dollar of real money either.
Salute you. So where
I had like $40 worth
Play.
of Google credit built up that I hadn't been spending, so I just used that.
Okay, I thought you were gonna say like you went the true base route and torrented them all.
No, that's
got,
me.
got a a shitty 2001.
No, I think the two Angelina Jolie ones were.
One.
I think I rented those for like $2 for 4K.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what mine were. Yeah,
the 2018 one, I think I bought it for $7 and just said whatever. It's not real money.
Yeah.
Classic.
But no, I stand on the mountain here saying that none of these movies are good, and that 2018 is actually the best movie of the
my
three.
God, dude. Just like cut his mic, get him out of here. I am here. Just
all right, cool. I'll just go play Final Fantasy 16. Thanks for the stop.
Planting my flag. I am the Tomb Raider defender. I am logging on. I mean, the original Lara Croft Tomb Raider has like a kind of a special place in my heart. I can't tell you when the first time I saw it was. I don't think I saw any of these in theaters.
I saw Cradle of Life in theaters. I remember.
I mean, we would have been 10 years old at that point.
Yeah.
So I don't remember seeing this in theaters.
That was a PG-13 movie. Your parents took you underage.
They did. Angelina Jolie was enough to
the
get
police are coming to take them to the gulag right now.
But I really enjoy, in particular, the first one. I have plenty of criticisms for Cradle of Life.
Cradle of Life was the worst of the three to me by a mile.
I say
generic and forgettable.
It's pretty close. It is pretty forgettable. Like it only has like kind of one real notable set piece, which is a pretty cool one. But like it's something that you even had a little bit of praise for there at the top, Matt, was where these like were really shine is in like they're like practical effects, actual set pieces, filming
the
on
practical
location.
Effects are very hit or miss. I enjoy when they shoot a column and you can clearly tell it's just made of foam as it's falling over.
There were a couple of those.
Or there was one in the first one in particular where when the people come to her house to shoot up the house, she's being pulled by a rope that is slack and in a different direction than the rope is pushing. And it pulled me away immediately. I was just like, instant wire gag.
See, I didn't even notice that. I was just like
practicality
just
right.
Like, ooh, Angelina Jolie go bounce on stringy rope and kill dudes. The
only actual cool rope gag I saw her do was in Cradle of Life, and it was when they were fleeing the Shailong.
Yeah, the upside down shooting from the rope.
Yeah, the upside down shoe belaying, an actual like cool looking stunt.
Yeah, I liked that one. And something that like actually felt like an homage to, which there's not in any of these really, in my opinion, but that scene did feel
the
like
the only homage I could call out would be in 2018. She had a bow from the reboots.
Yeah.
She had the hike, the climbing axe, and she fell horrifically through a bunch of trees and probably should have impaled herself on some branches.
She did slightly. She did get a slight,
but not in the way that
not nearly
the
as
Tomb
bad.
Raider reboots would do it with a fucking X-ray cam showing her insides getting blended.
They did have the 20. Folks, you're gonna have to forgive us. We're gonna basically be jumping around throughout all three of these throughout this whole thing. We're not doing anything systematic here. The 2018 one, we were talking about this before we started recording, is like the only one that is like truly trying to be a like direct adaptation of a game property. This one is basically a with creative license, and I'm putting heavy stress on creative license taken to adapting that first of the reboot games. There are some of these like kind of one for one set piece things, like the crashing into the where she's like going on over the waterfall and catches herself in like the rusted plane. That was like a huge part of like the marketing materials, and it's one of the quote unquote set pieces from.
There's also a little bit more
game.
puzzling in there. Like theoretically, they do some more puzzling than Angelina Jolie ever did.
You make the joke about like, you know, these are like in the original Angelina Jolie ones are just like, you know, Indiana Jones skins. I was having that thought about the 2018 one. The tomb puzzles that she's doing is such like a shitty, essentially
the color one was probably the dumbest of them.
Yeah, but it's like it's I keep going back to these are the like essentially the exact puzzles from, not really, but like essentially the exact puzzles from the third Indiana Jones, which is killing me why I am blanking
that Crystal
on
Skull.
No, that's the fourth one.
You have Raiders, you have
Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom.
That's the second one.
And then you have Last Crusade.
Last Crusade, that's right. So it's like when they're going through the temple, it's like they've got to go over a chasm. Of God. They've got like the you've got to pray to even some of the clues. Even some of the clues were exactly the same. You must pray in order to kneel. And it was like in Last Crusade, it's like you got to kneel before God, or else like you get your head chopped off. It's just like, man, like not even trying at all to hide the copy paste here.
I liked I was thinking that this is Indiana Jones reskinned initially, but
which, I mean, granted, is the game, relatively speaking.
Right, but like I actually came away feeling a little bit different in that this is actually Nathan Drake is a reskinned male version of Lara Croft way more than Indiana Jones, because Indiana Jones actually like respects the history and cares about that, whereas Lara Croft and Nathan Drake are much more interested in the like monetary value of what they're doing and have no Drake
because they're not
has
archaeologists.
Some
definitely in the game that's true. In the game that part of that is true, but Lara does have like in some of the games they get more into it, does have like archaeology credentials. Like in the reboots,
that was Daniel Craig.
He was in the reboots. She like is like a graduate student. She's an archaeology graduate student, which that was like my biggest thing about the reboot. And like I feel like I'm gonna fall into like I'm being a gamer TM, but it's like the Alicia Vikander Lara truly is a Mary Sue. She has no actual training knowledge, but somehow she can solve.
The
all
only
these
thing
puzzles.
we're shown of her is that she always be puzzling.
She like it's what they give it like one line. She's basically just like, I have a special brain, or like things stick in my brain, and we get that through her reciting one random line from like Hamlet, and that's supposed to signify that she's a super genius.
She does the hardest level of Sudoku.
We're being ableist here. She's neuroatypical. She has ADHD, maybe a UHD, a little bit of autism in there. And
no, the only thing she has is daddy issues,
which is a trauma response that could cause autism and ADHD and those types of things. So we're being ableist here. Let Lara Croft live.
But like I found the 2018 one so tired in that like they have to show this like it's basically I'm comparing. I think
the worst part of the 2018 one was that they dedicated like 25 plus minutes of the beginning runtime to showing us that she's a street rat.
Yes, and it's just like I don't need that. Where it's like they kind of throw you right into the thick of it in the originals. Yeah, and they're not like they're
showing two different Laras. They're showing Angelina Jolie's Lara is a lot older
and established.
This is supposed to be showing Lara at the start of her
the origin story.
career.
Yeah, and they don't go into like why or like what Angelina Jolie, Lara Croft's like say quote unquote credentials are, but they
Money.
do talk
In
about
tight suits.
it. It is money. It is basically, it's like that she is, so obscenely wealthy that she can dedicate her time to actually learning the history. And say, I push back on the comment that's like, oh, she's just in it for the monetary value. Like, you get the sense that she is an actual like history head, and it's about the connection. It's always about the connection to the father is what truly drives it. And it's like that's a passion that they share, and they show time and time again that the original, or like we'll call her the original Lara, knows her stuff. She's not just like, oh, I've got a special brain that can just remember facts when they're told to me once, because it's basically, we're meant to assume in the 2018 one that she's got like a photographic memory or something. It's
No, she just has ADHD. She can see things in 3D images.
She's autistic. Yeah, she's autistic, so she's got the special diagram brain that they love to show in
That's why
TV shows like The Good
Father,
Doctor.
wherever she sees
like
semi
Psych.
people who look just like him, and then crashes into a police car because of it.
But I
Okay.
also feel like, and I didn't watch the 2018 one, so this is just my speculation, but I feel like she in those types of movies, when they have that character that's supposed to be like into archaeology and has a special brain, they're really just like a groiper from Twitter that has like the antiquities like marble bust, and like that's
it's your Sargon of Akkad, that
Yeah.
type of person.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a female version of that.
I'm
that
into
has
history, but the
wealth.
only history I know is Greek and Roman.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Is there more?
I mean, that started civilization. We didn't have it without that.
No, but she like has completely no grasp of history whatsoever. It's just literally that I know how to solve this puzzle, and that's it.
For me, the funniest part of the 2018 movie was, and it's not supposed to be funny, but the name Himiko and how I kept saying it. All I could hear was Kimiko, the pillow from 30 Rock.
So that is like the main plot points that they are pulling from the game. That is, they are searching for Himiko in the reboot game, which I own. I think all the reboots. Got them.
They go on sale frequently for very, very little money, and or have been given away by Epic/GOG.
I think I think I have them all through Epic from getting them
You have
for
a bunch
free
on Steam, I think, because I thought I saw.
Maybe I got one in a bundle. I remember I spent money on a like really cheap on like it was like a heroin bundle.
I'm pretty sure
I was doing a bundle. I was doing a bundle of
$5
heroin.
combined.
Yeah, I wish.
It was like
I wish right now. Give it to me.
it was the bundle name was something heroines, meaning female heroes. So it was like a whole bunch of female protagonist games, and that may have been one of them. That's where I got Control for the third time. Was
amazing.
Was in that bundle. I bought it for
Steam
like
sale.
2 other games.
During the Steam sale, all the Tomb Raider games were like, I think there was a bundle where you could get like all of them for under $20 or some shit like that.
I'm pretty positive that I bought them in a holiday sale combined for like $8 total or something like that.
They're giving them.
What was funny for me? One of the things that got the biggest laugh out of me was in the first 10 seconds of the film when you turn it on and you got the Square Enix logo at the start of the 2018 one. That was funny for
Quality.
me. I laughed. I got a chuckle. Who do we think is the better Lara Croft though?
Angelina. I mean, I didn't watch the 2018 one, but I'm always going to say Angelina.
I don't pick a lesser of two evils.
This man thinks he's fucking Geralt of Rivia.
I mean, how can you not say Angelina? This is Angelina in her prime. Whether her acting was terrible or not, this is the era of white dreads, Angelina Jolie, and Gone in 60 Seconds, which is her best role ever. She's bringing some of that into this one.
I've never found her to be that good of an actress and or that attractive.
I mean,
Get out of here.
Same,
Get out of
like,
here. Just get out of here. Maybe the first part, fine, but the other part, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I think Cradle of Life as a movie is justified purely by her in the wetsuit at the very beginning. I like that.
Oh, and the throwaway lines such as "Oh boys, you're all wet," and I love to have fun.
Absolutely.
See, that shit's that's the script, man. That's the writing. There's nothing you can do about. There's nothing she can do about that.
It's also the fact that the
director
director had her mic turned down compared to everyone else in the movie.
well, it's just because she's a woman.
you know our stance on that here in the podcast. If it's about deplatforming women,
It's
it
like
absolutely gets a plus.
The first two movies sound mixing is just so bad. It's like every action scene I have to turn my volume down to 12 so that it doesn't sound like I'm having an actual fight in my house. But then anytime there's actual dialogue, I got to turn it up to 20 so I can actually hear what people are saying.
I surprisingly didn't have that problem. I find that to be more of a modern problem. Modern sound mixing is really bad like that. I did hear one trick though, that particularly if you're streaming something, say like especially on Netflix, is if you have that problem, is to check the sound thing to make sure it's not defaulting to surround sound. If you don't have surround sound, that if you
Couldn't be me.
Say I only have my sound bar and subwoofer, which and I maybe like could notice your issue about like the voices being a little bit too low, but I didn't actually have a problem hearing anything or having to adjust volume like that, which is unusual for me because I normally can't hear human voices. So
I was mostly disappointed with Daniel Craig. What a completely waste of him.
He would agree with you. He did not enjoy that role or that film. He was basically
I could tell by his mixing American accent.
He was like, this was gonna launch me into the stratosphere, but no. But that was another point I wanted to bring up. I like had completely forgotten like the powerhouses of cast that were in these films.
Yes.
And it's like they launched basically like the status, or like to see how many like action star
immediately blew up.
Well, so these movies cemented Angelina Jolie as a female action star,
as a nepo baby.
But then this was about her action credentials. She had already won a fucking Oscar at this point.
Yeah.
For what was it? Girl Interrupted. Is that the film? Where she also has a crazy blonde hairstyle, no dreads, but like
nothing beats the dreads. It's beautiful.
But yeah, I myself have never found her to be like that compelling of an actress, but I never found her to be
compels me. That's
offensive. It compels you in a different direction. But
I love that her dad was in the movie.
I wanted to talk about that. I love that Jon Voight plays her father, and that the like fractured short relationship kind of mirrors her real life relationship with Jon Voight, who's like now estranged from her entirely.
One scene. Well, they may have further estranged themselves, but they had a troubled relationship before then. Yeah. And this was like the first time that they had like come face to face in like a while, and like went a decent way to mending their relationship. It was like, they were doing therapy on set, basically doing family therapy on set. But yeah, Jon Voight is such an interesting character now.
He really is.
I enjoyed I don't remember the name of the actor, but the guy who played Michael Reese, the main antagonist of Cradle of Life.
That's what's his face from,
because he plays Lucifer and Ghost Rider. He plays he's always a bad guy, essentially. He's got bad guy face.
It's Ian Glenn. He was Jorah Mormont in Gambo.
Yeah, and he's in both the first and the second.
No, he's not in the second one. He's dead. He's dead after the second one.
Well, I thought Matt was saying that he was from the second one, and I saw him.
No, the villain from the second one is Ciarán Hinds. But yeah, there's like there's some stacked cast in these things. But like, back to my quick point from the other one is like, for the second one, rather than Daniel Craig, who like a few years later would go on to fucking be fucking James Bond, you had Gerard
you have
Butler.
a British guy be British, and it works better.
Please, he would punch you in the fucking face for saying that. Both Gerard Butler and the character. He's fucking Scottish. Get it right.
Isn't Daniel Craig not British too?
Say that again.
Or is he British? Is Daniel Craig British?
Daniel Craig is British. No, that was the funniest part. That's what I was
talking about.
So that was the funniest part of that one is you have. I even texted you guys that when I was watching it. It was like you have Angelina Jolie, a Yankee playing a Brit, and then you have Daniel Craig, a Brit playing a Yank, and it is so funny. Beautiful. She did a much better job with the accent, whereas like he's just dropping it like on the fly. Just
that's what I was talking about, though. Was I thought you were saying Daniel Craig blew up eventually as 007 afterwards, where he got to just be a Brit and just got to use his normal accent rather than trying to do what fucking what's his face, the guy who plays Eddie Brock in Venom,
Tom Hardy.
Switching constantly between
not
three different.
Yeah, you're not going to besmirch the smorgasbord of regional accents that Tom Hardy provides for us in the great film.
Every movie.
This one's worse.
In the second one, he does a lot better of being more consistent with his accent,
which is why it's not as good.
Yes. Well, that and because they didn't keep the wig on Woody Harrelson.
Biggest mistake. All
right, that's a tangent. That's a tangent. Let's rein it back in.
Like to the cast, like it is a stacked cast.
Gerard Butler was also phoning in that role.
I mean, everyone's just collecting a paycheck here. There's some like huge names that maybe not so big to us anymore, but we're like, especially at that time, we're kind of older and well known. There's Ciarán Hinds,
it's the one who I just said, Ciarán Hinds. He's the villain. He was the villain from Cradle of Life.
The other guy, I can't pronounce his name, but he's in Guardians of the Galaxy. He in the beginning scene with Peter Quill. Yeah. Did we already say these names? And I was just dumb.
Blood Diamond.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just like.
I mean, even the most recent has a good cast too.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like that one has, I mean,
it's got Walton. So
Walton Goggins, the GOAT. Say Alicia Vikander was also. You say you had 2 Academy Award winners playing this role. Both won for in the same category, mind you.
I don't think I've ever seen her in another movie.
Me either.
Alicia Vikander, I've seen her in something. Yeah. She's the robot in Ex Machina. Yeah.
Oh, I've
seen Ex Machina.
That's a good one.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
Yeah, it's a very good movie.
You
might appreciate it too.
Beyond Walton Goggins, like kind of phoning it in here. Not that great of a villain. My biggest complaint of the casting choices, and not necessarily not the casting choices, but like what they gave the actor, was Daniel Wu, who was the lead from the AMC series Into the Badlands, which was a wild show, but amazing choreography, amazing. He's like, a really talented martial artist. He's a really, really talented martial artist, and they gave him fucking nothing.
He got to fall over a railing drunkenly,
fall off a boat not drunkenly, in the middle of a storm,
be tied up while mining,
shot multiple times, and then give him a gun who can't really use. He gets to shoot a grenade.
You can't forget though, he did move some rocks.
Nice.
Yeah, no, so underutilized, like an absolute sin. He's so talented. Like I was so originally I was super excited for him to be in this movie. I'm like, he's gonna be like the companion, and he's gonna have like some really cool action scenes, and like the 2018 one, just like for all the criticisms you may rightly or in my opinion wrongly lay at the feet of the original movie, the original one. Cradle of Life has plenty of problems, but even Cradle of Life,
pretty sure Cradle of Life has like a 22% Rotten Tomatoes rating.
Well, I don't give a fuck about what the critics say. Critics are fucking morons.
I think it's under 40% on user.
the audiences are also morons. Everyone's dumb. Everyone who is, you know, say
Everyone who
professing to be
disagrees with me is
no, it's just anyone who's professing to not be dumb is incredibly stupid. I'm a fucking idiot. So that's how you know. That's how you know I'm on the level.
It's the Socratic, adage of like, you know, what I can't even think of it now.
It's like the truth of wisdom or whatever is to admit you know nothing.
Yeah.
That's not the exact. That's a paraphrase.
Yeah,
but
yeah, exactly. So I'm an idiot. So I know, you know, I'm the smartest one here.
That's a great out. But the original ones like had actual set pieces, things you could point your finger at and be like, oh, that was like some real stunt work. That was like high production value. Like they got the people who invented wingsuits to perform the wingsuit jump in Cradle of Life. You know, it was a new technology at that point. And you know, they did it with, you know, no green screens, no wires, no nothing, like legit.
Yeah, but they didn't do it practically
jump.
with explosions like Michael Bay and Transformers 2.
But there's
no, that was the third one, wasn't it?
There's a lot of CGI garbage in the 2018 one. There's like nothing you can really point your finger at and be like, that's like a real set piece, because the boat crashing, CGI drivel.
I mean, you can always tell in modern movies because it's usually a darkened scene to help hide it. And in the early 2000s, you can tell because early 2000s CGI is so bad that you just can't physically believe that it's real.
Like The Rock when he's the Scorpion King.
Love that though. That's always one of my favorites.
It's so good. But back to the audience and Rotten Tomato score. I pulled it up just so we could see on the original ones. So the first movie is a 20% tomato meter and a 47% audience score, whereas Cradle of Life is a 24% tomato meter and a 44% audience score. So roughly the same scores. The critics seem to think that Cradle of Life was somehow better than the original. So I'll leave
they saw her holding her breath. They saw her holding her breath for 27 minutes underwater while punching a shark to ride it to the surface.
Riding the shark is awesome.
Yeah,
so
this
sick.
needs 4 points more than the original.
I really appreciate when movies add sounds to sharks underwater that they definitely don't make. It was like growling like a cat.
It did growl.
Fantastic.
The only good critic who RIP to the GOAT, Roger Ebert, had like one of the only positive reviews of the original movie, who I have like a quote from him here. It says, Lara Croft Tomb Raider elevates goofiness to an art form. Here's the movie so monumentally silly, yet so wondrous to look at that only a churl could find fault. So there, Matt, you've been owned. You've been owned, accept it.
I'm pretty sure he's dead, right? So take his elbows out, dance on your grave.
But man, I miss Roger Ebert. He was a goat. Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah. I'd like to clarify here. I don't think any of these movies are good. I'm not saying that 2018 is like the pinnacle of cinema. I still think I have all of them below a 50% for me. It's just I have that one above those other two because it at least follows a semi-cadent story. It's like the first Angelina Jolie one in particular just kind of feels like we're just jumping. We're just jumping from scene to scene because we got to go places. We're not really like following a progression. It's like you could fall asleep for 5 minutes and then wake up and you wouldn't miss anything.
Yeah, maybe I'd have that opinion if it was like my first watch, but like maybe my interpretation of it is colored by the fact that I know this movie so well that like if I fell asleep, I'd be like, oh, we're at this scene. I know where we are. I know what's going on. And see, like I find the pacing of the first one in particular refreshing. I feel like it stays where it needs to, but doesn't linger. Like, again, that first like 20 minutes of the 2018 one fucking sucks. It is so bad. And like, I find that the 2018 one is just like, it is, you could say it is a better movie in that it adheres to more modern movie making standards, but I think most of those standards fucking suck. And like it's paint by numbers and really bland, and there's very little there to engage you with character, with story, with fucking anything. It's like you don't know anything like about like who the villains are. I mean, sure, there maybe it's like trying to set up for, well, we're going to develop who Trinity is in this fucking sequel that never materializes. One of Matt's favorite things, again, setting up sequel bait
Addicted to sequel setup
for a sequel
Yeah.
that will never fucking happen.
Well, and that's what that's a good point, I think, and that I feel that modern movies, especially if they're related to some sort of other IP, that they try to just kind of throw it at you. They're banking on the IP itself, and their goal for their first movie is to set up the universe that they're going to build.
They don't care about an actual story.
They don't care about the story. They don't care about this individual movie, because this individual movie might not do that great, but if it does well enough that they could have a sequel, like they're putting their money on the sequel and the rest
Literally,
of them.
Marvel has poisoned everybody.
Exactly. And we've seen how Marvel is just going down the fucking drain with its recent shows. Like Secret Invasion has an 11% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Even like IGN gave them a 6.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was a terrible, final episode, and again, this is a
all
little
the
bit
Disney
different, but
Plus shows have been terrible.
Yes, no, I agree. Except
Andor
Torque
and
She-Hulk.
Andor is the only exception.
I was specifically referencing the MCU because we were talking MCU related.
Yeah. But no, everything else Disney is bad. Is bad.
Yeah, and I think that specific to the Disney model and this Marvel Disney Plus route, which I think you're talking about Amazon picking up the IP and doing another
right. They're doing another reboot of like
Embracer owns the game IP now, right? They're the ones who bought it from Square.
They bought Crystal Dynamics. Yeah.
And now Tencent owns Embracer, if I'm following correctly.
So I doubt that Tencent owns any controlling interest in Embracer. Embracer is too big of a conglomerate. Like they probably own like several. They probably fully own several shell companies that each have like 2, 3, 4% in it. But like I don't think they have a controlling interest. I don't think they've got a controlling interest.
But I think and Amazon may well follow this model of
Amazon shows aren't really good either. Like have not been good either.
No, I'm not saying that they're good, but I've seen that Disney Plus has put out this specific model, and an article I was reading was comparing it to Endor, stating that Endor is the only good Disney Plus show that they've put out, and it was because they did it in the 2-part, like 9-episode arc where you're able to like flesh out the characters, give a story, et cetera, all the good things that we look for in a movie. Whereas these other Disney Plus shows are just 30 minutes of dribble. Here's 6 episodes. We spend tons of money on the marketing, so you buy into all the other shit and all the other things that are related to this IP. The fucking show sucks. We move on to the next one. It feels like, especially with Amazon, they're really big into the action shows. They had like the Jack Reacher series,
which was actually good. That one was actually good. I watched.
I have heard that one is.
I watched that one because it's got Thad from Blue Mountain State.
Awesome.
He's actually quite good. It's
the guy from The Office. He had another show on there as well.
The John Krasinski, the CIA, the CIA Jack Ryan.
Jack Ryan.
No, that was the CIA propagandist basically saying that Venezuela is a failed state.
But to my point of like that is what Amazon is going for, these like 30-minute or whatever 40-minute series of these shows. So I honestly have a feeling that it would be more profitable for them,
which would have been better if it just was 20 minutes and didn't exist.
They have those two things. They've got their like kind of action hero stuff, and then they've got their fantasy stuff, because they also have the Wheel of Time show, which is like pretty good. It's pretty good. in my opinion, it was rushed. You know, they did like 8 episodes. It's like they've adopted
It's
like
that same thing.
the eight
The
episode
short,
the
yeah,
eight
6
episode
to 8.
model, which is not enough.
Yeah.
And so they condensed a lot of things. My biggest complaints about Wheel of Time from reading the books and stuff is just like was that they've like condensed things unnecessarily, but then it was then completely differently. It's just things, despite spending upwards of like billions of dollars on this shit, like they spent a ton of money. There's a lot of stuff that looks very cheap. Like the costuming looked pretty cheap, and like not they didn't go fully. My biggest thing was like there was a certain group of characters who like wear these like white robes traveling. They're like in their itinerants, so they're like traveling throughout this place, and it's still pristine white. It'd be like that shit should be fucking dirty. That shit that doesn't shit doesn't look lived in. Whereas they spent like millions and millions of dollars creating this like actual village that they then burned down.
I love America. We're such a great country.
That may have been filmed in like New Zealand or something though, but who knows where it's getting its tax credits from. Ooh,
yeah,
quickly,
exactly.
Speaking of tax shenanigans, I want to talk about some really wild shit that was going on with, I think it was the first one. And so they're
Were
literally
they filming in Croatia or Hungary for tax credits?
Kind of. So it's like it was first financed through Telemunchen Gruppe, a German tax shelter. The tax law of Germany allows investors to take an instant tax deduction even on non-German productions, even if a film has not gone into production yet.
Yo, that's the greatest. Let's move to Germany and just start pumping out Camping Comrades content that never goes to fruition.
The Paramount just doing some wild shit here. That they sold the copyright to these people for 94 million, then bought it back for 83.8 million. Therefore, it's like they made 10.2 million. The copyright was then sold again to Lombard Bank, a British investment group, giving another 12 million. But then there's like to qualify for Section 48 tax relief in the UK, it had to include UK filming and British actors. You know, that wasn't difficult for something set in the UK. Then they did pre-sale stuff that got them an extra 65 million, and then Showtime paid 6.8 million for a premium cable television rights. Absolutely wild. It's just the buying and selling and taking advantage of tax loopholes.
Well, and you know, linking this to the SAG-AFTRA strikes, I can't pronounce that second acronym, so if I pronounce it wrong,
AFTRA, AFTRA. Sound it out, Michael.
The SAG strikes. You know, Angelina Jolie is not seeing very much in residuals, or you know, any of the cast. We'll use Angelina Jolie as the star. Not seeing much by way of residuals for when that gets sold to Showtime and is, you know, played constantly, or when it runs on FX. You know, granted, out of all of them, she probably has the better.
Yeah, she's doing
I mean,
right, but still.
I mean, so I'll say this: she probably has the better contract, because of who she is, but I bet you if you were to look at it for like the percentage that she's doing compared to some of the men, she still probably has a shitty, like, you know, residual pay. But these companies are, you know, making money double time. You know, they're double dipping multiple times, reselling, selling, you know, getting the tax credits on these rights and making millions and millions of dollars on this IP as it ages. You know, even if they didn't do the reboots, you know, whoever owns the originals could have sold it to Max to show on there, and they would have, you know.
I refuse to call, just like I refuse to now call Twitter X. I refuse to call it Max. It's still just HBO. At most, it'll be HBO Max. I'm not buying into your bullshit marketing shit. You know, like
you need to
not
call
gonna
it
happen.
HBO Go or HBO Now or HBO Max.
That's how you know you're a
definitely never
traditionalist.
changed names before.
Yeah, that's how you know you're a traditionalist, when you still refer to it as HBO Go.
So you know, and this is one of the things at, you know, at a different level. throughout the act, the movie making space, whatever, the entertainment space, this is a huge issue. And it's not only just like the IP right, or not the IP, the rights to like artificial intelligence of you being an extra or things like that. It's really this, like, the corporations are continuing to make money off the backs of the workers by relicensing the rights to the IP, by reselling the movie, because the contracts control their likeness. They're able to do that. They own it, it's work for hire. So you don't even own the copyright of your work here and what you're doing. It's owned by the production company who, like we're saying, keeps selling it, is getting these tax credits. So it's milking every fucking cent out of these actors and their work, and the people that are in the production. And fucking Bob Iger or whoever the fuck owns it, it is just swimming in his fucking gold coins like he's Scrooge McDuck. Well,
we've said it, but we've said it before. I really hope that Bob Iger tries to Scrooge McDuck. I really encourage him to do it. I bet it's fun.
Yeah. I mean, the gold would feel so nice on your skin. It's exfoliating.
Fill a corn silo with coins and jump in the top.
Or melt the coins down into liquid.
Hot liquid. Keep it hot. Give them a nice.
It can't be liquid if it's not hot.
Yeah.
Unless it's mercury. And then there's other layers to that problem.
We'll tell them that it'll give them a nice exfoliant. And
I bet that's also fun.
You can float in mercury super well. Very dense fluid.
I feel like I had more criticisms of the 2018 film. It was just like, it was very bland. It was just like, even like Vikander's performance was just like very not present.
I actually thought the best part of the movie was the fox hunt, and that was the worst part of the movie.
It was like some of the most
engaging part of the story.
Yeah, it was some of the most like
her running away from these dudes for 600 quid.
Yeah. Just like it was the most like, kind of engaging. And that's like, and that's the closest you could come to like an actual physical set piece. And that's literally them just biking around foggy old London.
I really hope that they did it during live London and they didn't warn anybody and they just unleashed cyclists onto the city.
Unleash them like a plague, not unlike Himiko herself.
I actually thought that was a neat little twist, all things considered.
Yeah, because they moved it from like but also it's like I also found it to be kind of cowardly, in that like they're moving away from like the game's
supernatural
actual dabbling in the supernatural shit, which the original movies have no qualms doing. Which, again, goofy, silly, but it's what the games were. It's what the property was. You don't need to be, if you're banking on this IP, like, don't be fucking afraid of it.
I didn't mind the contextualization of myth. The idea of like myth can have truth to it.
Oh, right. But like, in my opinion, just be like, make her some scary plague lady. Let's do it.
But she was a good guy in the end. She did it for the betterment of humanity.
Yeah. No, I'm really just kind of.
And then the bad guy watched 2 of his henchmen turn into horrible zombie creatures. And was like, "Yo, I need me that finger, though."
Yo, what that finger do?
Trying to get that finger.
Yo, what that finger do?
They also had like they didn't even do a very good callback in the end when she was fighting him by the ladder, and like when he put her into the overhead choke that she got put into at the beginning.
That was one of her only other skills, is that she's like a mediocre kickboxer.
Yeah, I was gonna say gets her ass kicked.
Hey, if you have ADHD or AUHD, you're good at everything but bad at everything at the same time. You could do whatever you want, but never do it to its full extent. So she's probably got a baseline great kickboxing, but her skill cap is very low there.
I mean, it kind of looked like, my perspective, it looked like an older person fighting a child. Where it was like the
Fantastic.
child was just kind of like monkey gymming on them.
What was my other point I was just gonna make about? So I know like the bow and arrow is like a thing from the
reboots.
reboot game, which
It's even on the cover of
I
one
think
of them.
I think we've had enough. We don't need more video game heroin with bow and arrow. We've done that to death.
Yeah, they're all
Give them a
copying
blunderbuss. Give them
Hell
a
yeah.
blunderbuss. Call it a day.
I would absolutely take that.
Yeah, it'd be
Dual
fun as fuck.
blunderbusses.
Any day of the week. And it's like, yeah, it takes to like they don't do an actual post-credit scene, but it might as well have been the post-credit scene where she goes back to the pawn shop where she had to sell her family's amulet to pay for her trip out to go to the secret island. She goes to buy it back, and then she also then buys her iconic pistols. Which they do like here is an explicit Easter egg. They name like the model gun that it is, which I forget what it is. Mike, maybe you know the type of gun that she uses.
No, off the top of my head, I have to look at it.
Smith
but,
and Wesson 1911.
I mean,
Lara
probably. I mean, that's the
Croft.
most popular gun.
It's the most common depicted pistol in.
Yeah, same.
Walter
it's the most common
P38, best gun in the
America.
game.
But that's the dual wielding pistols.
Oh,
is
she's
another,
Brit. You're
like,
right. Definitely a
female-
Walter.
It's Heckler and Koch USP
Nice.
something.
Do you know our hometown's police department gets standard issue Heckler and Koch, and Heckler and Koch are very, very expensive.
Well,
can't
our
remember if
hometown
it's
is
German or
relatively
Belgian.
speaking very wealthy.
Yeah, but I mean, there's no reason for our cops to have fucking Heckler and Koch.
Dude, they were riding around on spiders for 2 years. Like they just spend money.
Yeah, so that's a very like
use the budget.
expensive
Yes,
German
it's not like
gun.
that. It's not like that could go anywhere else.
Yo, imagine trying to get arrested by a cop on a spider for a second.
I'd feel so embarrassed.
Yeah.
An
Get tough
ATV
now.
unit.
Get on the back of my motorcycle and hold my waist.
Those are
Well,
like
I mean,
those are like
you
the
could pull his
tricycle
gun out.
things, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
front trike.
With the front trike, yeah.
So yeah, you could do the wee bit of tomfoolery, grabbing
Yeah,
an officer's service weapon.
Exactly. People ride around New York City with those blasting music. It's beautiful.
Yeah, those
But
guys
yeah,
are
so I'm
probably
saying,
just on traffic duty.
The dual wielding pistol and the bow and arrow are both like a female coded weaponry. The pistols will kind of
What
span
about the
a little
climbing
more.
axe?
Climbing axe?
Like
Oh,
the pickaxe
like a
thing.
pickaxe? No, it's just an adventure gear. Come on.
Classic adventure game.
But I mean, the giving the woman a bow is kind of the same as like there is the critiques of in the MCU, like the Black Widow, like female action heroes always having to like use their legs to get advantage of the men. It's like, well, yeah, because
That's
like,
where they
the men are
derive their.
bigger than
That's where
them.
they destroy.
That's usually typically how you fight with a size disadvantage.
Exactly, and a bow is
Lower
another
body has
way
more
of
has more kinetic potential.
strength. Yeah.
It's also
and-
a lot
and-
harder to break those bones when you're hitting something really hard.
So to me, a bow, I'm a rogue player. I love my bow and arrow. So just like a smaller person like that bow is always helpful. But give her a
She
blunderbuss.
wasn't fucking around either. She wasn't messing with the compound bow. That was just a straight up.
recurve.
Nope. Straight, just regular bow. There's
That's
no
a
recurve on
recurve.
that.
She just had a fucking U-shaped bow.
Yes.
Mhm. Say recurve is the one you say where it's got
It's the double
bend- the
curve, which
bend
makes
in
it easier to pull.
No,
She's using like a short bow from fucking
did-
olden times.
They did do
Yeah,
a
pretty much.
couple flashbacks of her doing some middling archery
Gun
as a kid
katas.
as a kid as well. So it's like they did try to. It's like okay, she's not fully untrained with a bow and arrow. It
Yeah,
is-
she
it is
was
her
groomed
special-
from youth by her parents to become a killer.
But it's just like I don't understand it, and I don't understand why the reboot game chose to go that route. Other than it was, I do understand it. Is because that was the gameplay trend of the time.
It was also
let's give them a bow. But
so
we're
stranding someone on an island with a bow.
The guns are
reusable,
fucking
bullets are not.
iconic. See, the guns are iconic.
They are definitely iconic. That annoyed me.
The fact that they save it for the fucking stinger at the end is just like, what the fuck?
Like, have her get him for the last fight scene. Like, don't just, that's another part of just like having to tease everything for the sequel.
Yeah, and how do they go from like, oh, like I have no skills or, you know, no stakes in this world whatsoever, but here I do know how my way around a bow and arrow. I'm gonna upgrade to fucking these two gigantic handguns with no you know, firearm training whatsoever. I'm gonna buy these from a British pawn shop, which is not a thing.
Well, yeah, you can buy a gun in a British pawn shop.
Yeah, it's like highly regulated in the UK.
I mean, you need like fucking.
That's why knife crimes are so big. Is because you can only get a knife. You can't get guns. Yeah.
You can only get like long arms for hunting in the UK, or like a shotgun. They don't fuck with them pistols.
I don't know. I think bow skill is pretty transferable to guns. Makes sense to me.
All right. So, do we want to? Do we want to rate these? I mean, so Mike is the only one who hasn't seen the 2018 one. Maybe instead of rating them each individually, let's rank them. Let's get each of our rankings for the ones that we've seen. Matt, since you're the outlier, you go first. So
am I just ranking them 1, 2, 3, or am I giving them a score?
No, that's what I said.
Can I give them a score alongside my rank to dignify?
If you feel it's necessary, go for it. But not everyone else.
45. 2001, 40. 2003, 20. I hated Cradle of Life. I tolerated the first one. Cradle of Life was probably one of the worst movies I've watched in recent memory.
So before we get to other people's, I just want to go back to the guns that she was carrying, the Heckler and Koch. I just looked them up. They're about 3,000 a piece. So she went to a pawn shop, dropped six, probably. I mean, it's got to be more
like 5K a piece. Yeah.
Well, you got to convert it to quid first.
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
You got to convert it to sterling.
Expensive ass guns. She, if she was picking up a 1911, you could get that for like $400. That makes more sense. But dropping, at least 5K a piece at a fucking pawn shop for like one of the most expensive, it's like a Target.
A pawn shop that had already proven to dislike her and continually reducing the amount of money they were going to pay her because she kept trying to haggle.
Yeah, she was walking out 20K for those two fucking guns.
Well, I mean, at the end of the movie, she is the full inheritor of the Croft fortune.
She has begrudgingly accepted the obscene wealth that goes with being a Croft.
After seeing her
Lady Croft.
After seeing her willingly do a fox hunt for 600 quid, it is a little funny to see her begrudgingly accept generational wealth that could change her life forever.
It is really funny. All the Heckler and Koch. It is really funny because in the second movie, it is confirmed that they are generationally tied to the fucking literal Illuminati.
Yep.
All right.
Do you know that the first Tomb Raider movie has a JoJo reference in it?
I mean, what doesn't have a JoJo reference?
She turns a knife around and stop time to hurt somebody.
All right, I'm going in the chronological order of release for my rankings. First, Lara Croft Tomb Raider. Second, Lara Croft Tomb Raider Cradle of Life. And third,
it's just Tomb Raider. Reboot. It's just Tomb Raider.
Yeah, Tomb Raider.
Or on Wikipedia, Tomb Raider parentheses film.
2018.
Yeah. Nope,
it is a film.
It just says film.
Yes.
because it's either that or the game. All right, Mike.
Obviously the first
Rank the
is
one,
my
Mike.
higher
Do it.
score. No, I mean I've seen the second one, but just not recently. It's got like a 60 for me. It's a action movie, maybe a little bit higher in that range. I'll give it a I'll give it a C. I'll give a letter grade. I'm gonna give it a C. Whereas I'll give a C minus to the second one. They're movies, they're films, they got hot girls in them, villains that I like, whether or not they're at the height of their acting roles. But I also want to point out, in the video games, Lara Croft does use a recurve bow at times. And it looked like in some of the pictures they have like a tiny recurve on it, but it's mostly just a fucking straight bow, which is just dumb.
I mean, it makes sense if you're making your own in the wild and that's all you have access to is
Sure.
limbs of green trees. But most people nowadays don't know the proper process of, stringing and pulling a straight bow.
And with the bow that she's using, I'm looking at a picture of it right now with her pulling it. She's got it fully
Pretty strong,
extended.
huh?
That's probably a 10-pound pull bow. Like, you're not even killing a fucking squirrel with that thing. It's gonna go 10 feet and drop. There's nothing on that bow that is giving it any sort of power to shoot that fucking thick ass wooden arrow that's like a fucking inch thick. It's like more like a bolt than an arrow. So that's my so because of that, let's give an F to 2018. It's just like I can't watch Gladiator anymore because they got horse stirrups on the horses, which weren't invented back then. Thank you, history of technology classes.
So that's Mike's little bit of neurodivergence there.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of bit of neurodivergence.
That's his AUHD right there. I'm with Andrew. I rank them in order of release, and sure, maybe this isn't the most objective score, but I give the first one a solid 8 or 80, whatever metric you want to give it. It is a incredibly enjoyable popcorn action flick. It is a very turn your brain off and just have fun.
Yep.
I enjoy it a lot. I think the second one, yeah, it's just like has a bunch of problems. It is not, it suffers both from bloat as well as just like not a lot going on.
What do you mean, man? They had that whole wedding scene at the start, and then they never followed up with that ever again with any context.
It's just that, like, oh, this is the earthquake that happens in Greece.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's just like there was like a lack of set pieces in that one that really kind of sunk it for me. But then, yeah, so I'd give that one maybe like a 6.5, close.
I definitely appreciated the not Angelina Jolie doing the jet ski flip.
Yeah.
And how absolutely they obscured to make sure that you couldn't see it was who was actually riding the jet ski.
They do that a lot in that one. They do that the same on when they're motorbiking along the Great Wall of China.
Yeah, on
they do that. They do that a lot
back
as well.
Shot.
Yeah.
That might as well. I don't remember if any of you have seen Scary Movie 3.
Mm-hmm.
Or it might not even be Scary Movie. It might be Epic Movie. The actress who plays Lily in How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah, that's
she goes to get on a motorcycle, and then they do a cut with a black dude on the motorcycle in the dress.
Yeah.
That was definitely just a dude with a wig.
No,
that's great.
Like at least one of her stunt doubles in both films was a man in a wig. But yeah, I wouldn't even say that.
I would rate it higher if the man in the wig was doing more of the action.
I wouldn't.
Black man in a wig.
I wouldn't give the 2018 one even a 5. I found it very, very boring and forgettable. I found it boring and the 2018 one. I didn't like it.
Yeah, I had that one below as well. I had that as a 45. That's Neff. We all failed that one. It's I failed the other two.
I don't like that. Yeah, I agree on that one. I don't like that one. But like I will always enjoy the original Lara Croft Tomb Raider.
It's a perfect FX movie. It really
Absolutely.
is.
And I love those movies. And those
Same.
movies have a really special place in my heart. It's just like, I got home from school. I don't want to do fucking homework. Let's just like watch whatever fucking on FX for an hour. And it's just
they
like,
still have it on FX. I was looking up how to watch it, and you could rent it on Amazon. And at first it said like Hulu had it, so I went to go check on Hulu, but it's like through the Hulu Live or whatever, because they have it on like
live
TNT,
TV,
FX. I think it was TNT, not FX, but they're interchangeable for this purpose.
Sure.
They both ran the same type of
TNT
movies.
loves to run Indiana Jones movies, so that's definitely in their wheelhouse.
I think one of the biggest things with movies from this era is that you really just shouldn't watch them in 4K, because they were meant to be played at 480p on shitty TVs.
They were actual on location shots, but those were the ones that were visually bad. Were like a lot of the outdoor shots. There was just so much visual noise going on that it's just like the shots were really not good. But like
I can attribute that partially to some of the stuff that took me away, because like I used to love Boondock Saints, and then I watched Boondock Saints in 4K, and it becomes blatantly obvious that the sets are made of cardboard.
You also grew up to be older than 16 years old.
Yes.
I think we watched that freshman lacrosse camp that summer, so that tracks. We were watching that while eating all you can eat wings for dinner, because wings for dinner was coach
a nice little treat.
It's coach's idea.
But going back to like the sound mixing, because I think that Matt's point about like you shouldn't watch it in 4K, and excuse me, Ben, you had made the point that it's like modern sound mixing that you usually have trouble with, and I agree, and there is like reasons why that, because of where the speakers are in the TV, et cetera, et cetera. But I also think that sometimes watching those older movies on modern TVs then fucks with the sound quality. If you had watched it on a TV from 2003
on your classic your classic CRTV.
Exactly. It may not have
let me go find my 32-inch Sony Trinitron that weighs 240 pounds.
It's not even the CRT TVs. I actually read a piece recently, and the streaming companies have all fucked the audio because they've flattened how the mixing works so that it's less data intensive. Mixing. No, but anything that's on streaming, it gets put into that.
I didn't watch mine on streaming. I purchased it.
But you didn't download it.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, really? You can download them? It doesn't just stream them?
You rented the first two.
I rented the first two. You can still download them until the rent period is over. That's how Google does it. And then you can watch them downloaded through YouTube.
Still, I'm sure they do that same process, whether it's streaming, like that version that you downloaded is still like streamed version that they run through whatever process.
These are all arguments of why, again, physical media should not go away.
Well, yeah, all of my Blu-ray movies play considerably better quality than something that I own through digital means.
I saw.
That's a whole layer of Blu-rays aren't compressed, and everything you get from streaming always goes through. I saw
the Chad Christopher Nolan like talking about like Oppenheimer and shit, and it's like how he'll always advocate for how the Blu-rays are the definitive home versions of his films because they have much more control over what's there, both in terms of visuals, but sound mixing. Color
Christopher
correction.
Nolan just doesn't want to tell me that I'm supposed to get a 140 millimeter real camera projector and an IMAX screen in my house.
Yeah,
and with the streaming and just getting rid of the digital media, we'll use streaming as whether you're downloading it or whatever. Just use it as a catch-all right now. They regardless, they're compressing it down, and there's different channels. This is what I was going to say. Sorry. There's different channels for the sound that they have to run through, and with streaming you get less channels. And like Andrew, you were saying,
that's what I was talking about. Buying it through Google does for me is I can select my audio channels when I'm doing my output, so I can match 5.1 to my 5.1 setup.
Beyond that, it's not even that. It's like more at the engineering, like the sound engineering level when they're doing it, not just the changing it from surround sound to the regular, that also has a process. But just like the base sound channels that they can use that used to be like hundreds or whatever is now compressed down to like 25 or something like that. So that's why like voices will end up being quieter, et cetera, et cetera. There's a whole science behind it.
I'm pretty sure that the worst offender is Netflix by like 200 miles because they just don't care to pay for their own infrastructure and set up anything that remotely functions.
Yeah, and have terrible subtitles.
Yes,
I think they've added. I think they've added
a shadow boxing.
You can choose that in the settings.
It's not good. It's not good. It's not good. It's still not as good as Hulu. I recently found that
Hulu's had superior subtitles since they started. They've
since
just had
they were
that
a
option.
free watch clips or whatever in like fucking 10 years ago.
No.
Alrighty, so that we've got our rankings. Those of us who gave grades have done so. Looks like a cat is either vomiting or shitting on the floor for Matt. So we will wrap it here, folks. Stay tuned. We are off next week, I believe, and then we are doing it's Ratchet and Clank month. We're doing the game series, and I think we're doing the 2016 movie as well.
Hell yeah.
While Matt goes and cleans up, we'll say follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/campaignComrades. Check out the YouTube channel for clips and videos and all that stuff. We will see you in the future. Keep tomb raiding, folks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.